And we are live. Hey, that's not Chris. What's going on here? Hey, Matt, how's it going?
Hello, Jeremy.
Good, good. Chris is moving, so it's moving day. So first it was holiday, and now it's moving day. So busy schedule. So no lunch, no work, and no lunch break. So no live stream. But hopefully next week we'll kind of resume our normal schedule. But in the meantime, Matt was wonderful enough to co-host again. Thank you so much, Matt, for helping me out and not making me talk to myself. Very good. So what have you
figure out if I turn this way, am I looking at you?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we're looking at each other. Yeah, I still don't have the mirrored layout down myself. But what have you been up to gaming wise? Did you guys do something last weekend? In person?
No.
Oh.
We didn't.
Ah.
So I paint. Oh, I'll show you though.
Oh yeah.
I finished painting this thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wait for it.
Interior. That's great.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's our group's ship in the Frontier Space game I'm running.
Excellent.
And I've already told them they are not allowed to sell it or get it blown up.
Right. Unless they pay you physical monies in the real world. Oh, that's funny.
Either way, it's going to be awesome scenery in a Stargrave battle.
Oh yeah, definitely to fight around. Yeah, something like that would be great. Oh, very cool. Nice. So schedules just didn't work out last weekend.
Yeah, a couple of our regular group. What were they doing? Oh, they have a D&D game they play like once a month.
Oh, I see. And it just lined up. Yeah.
I'm not in, so they went and did that.
I see. So is that 5e, or are they playing older?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Not cool.
Oh, not cool. Not cool. Yeah, let's move away. Let's move away from 5e. I think we should encourage everybody, and there'll be good reasons to too. We're getting new editions of things to try out that are just as old and just as beloved as old D&D. So
a lot of people flipping out about. I guess they're floating ideas for how to change the classes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting all weird about it right now, but
the like.
It's nice not caring.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because if this was your only game system and you're watching this company kind of like, tear it apart. Yeah, that's very true. Nice. So let us know also, too, in the chat about how sound is going. I think
Miguel, am I blowing out your ears this time?
Yeah, it's the same settings as last time. So I think we got it kind of dialed in. I had you way tweaked out last time, but I think we're better. Nice. All right. Yeah, so it looks like I don't know when we're going to get back to the Oathmark, the next Oathmark game, because there's a lot of moving. But the new place should let Chris paint and maybe even live stream and stuff more. So that might be good.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because you guys are 1-1, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're tied up. So yeah, we got to see what happens. Yeah, I gotta rethink rethink my goblin forces.
I didn't see the wrap up. How did that work at the end?
Oh,
did he get his lost territory back?
I think.
Did you lose a piece of your territory?
I think the thing that we rolled let Chris add a new territory, and I forget which one she chose. But yeah, that outer ring, the fifth ring. Chris was able to add a new territory of their choice, and I forget which one it was. But yeah, we weren't contesting. The game type wasn't contesting a kingdom. It was the ability, or a territory. It was the ability to add a new one. So I forget what that was, because the thing was like some kind of cavalry, a fast attack was. And I think it might have been the spiders. I think it might have been the giant spiders. I'll have to go back and look, but I saw that on Instagram. Chris ordered a big box of giant spiders, so It's going to be dwarves versus spiders pretty soon. I have a feeling. Cool. Well, hey Miguel, thanks for hanging out in the chat and letting us know. Yeah, sound is okay. All right. And yes, oh, that's right. And answering your earlier question, yes, I do have a daughter in the U.S. and I also have a P.O. box that I can have stuff forwarded to Japan. So if you want to pre-order, if you want a BattleTech Essentials, it looks like there's not. Well, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. But it looks like there's not a lot in that box. They're really trying to lower the price point and have a real good entry into the game. Hey,
K5.
K5, nice. 16 months. Very cool. Thanks so much for supporting the cast. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, my cartoon stream was on a little late this week, so so K5 had to call it a night before too long. Very cool. Yeah, and it looks like the Mutant Warzone Eternal is going okay. The campaign there. They're up to like 130K now, so well into six figures. Yeah, I don't know. And somebody even, I saw in the comments, somebody mentioned the Mutant Chronicles are lore videos, and somebody said I really like this stuff, and then somebody else said they include White Star. Fuck them, like they were really instantly. So I definitely have to do like a complete version, but edit out all the White Star content, because the Warzone people and the Doom Trooper people, they do not want to hear anything about White Star. That's so funny.
It's not your fault that was.
I know. Game. Well, and that was the intention to make it lore for the RPG. So I wanted to do everything Modiphius did with 3rd edition. I wanted to include in the RPG because it's not for the old school players. But yeah, now that doesn't exist anymore, now that edition is dead, it is an anomaly. But I'll do a cut that, because I did do a nice Tribes of Old Earth segment in one of the episodes. So there's a real good coverage of the cool part of Dark Eden in that setting. But people just cringe at that White Star stuff. That's so funny.
Well, my 2 Kickstarters I backed are blowing up.
Oh yeah,
the Alchemy one is
nice,
almost 500,000.
Really? Oh, that's good. That's good.
And the Knave one, believe it or not, is like 400,000.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's too bad. Vagabond doesn't look like it's going to fulfill. It's not going to hit its goal. It was, and I think because people like Indestructible has a pretty good following on YouTube, at his YouTube channel, but maybe that's not converting over, and also the idea of just supporting a PDF, like an updating PDF, just so he can focus full time on developing the game. I don't think people quite get that, especially if they're not coming from his channel. So it's a hard sell, but I hope that fulfills, because it's only like 30,000 the threshold, and that's the thing. You're always punished on those crowdfunding platforms for being honest. You just gotta put a low goal and lie about what you need, and then just try to pump it up, or have a rich relative post some giant pledge at the end.
It's funny too how like the Kickstarter comment threads, they almost reach like YouTube comment threads level of nastiness sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost like people get bored. It's like, okay, well, I committed to the money I'm going to give you, and now I'm pissed off. Now I want to make sure that this is exactly what I've always wanted. Yeah.
Because the Knave guy, Ben, last name escapes me. He's like being really honest about his shipping, and like all his international, he's just using postal service. And the people in Europe who want his stuff are really pissed off. Oh, because I think it's like to the EU, he's charging like $35 or something like that. And he's just like, well, I'm using mail, and this is what they're going to charge me.
Right. It's not. Yeah.
People are just flipping out, like, well, I'm going to have to cancel my backing
Wow.
if you can't figure out a better way, and it's just like, geez, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And you're supporting an individual, like an independent creator. So why are you looking for a discount, or why are you looking for a bargain? Yeah. You want him to go out of pocket for that? It's like, yeah.
And he's trying to keep it simple, which is good because his Kickstarter is way overachieving.
Mm-hmm.
I think he said his last Kickstarter did like 18,000 or something.
Oh wow, yeah.
So he's probably feeling super overwhelmed.
Yes.
He's looking at, we're creeping up on $500,000. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So, obviously keep it simple, keep it predictable. Don't disappoint people when fulfillment time comes around.
Yeah.
I get that totally, but some people, they don't care. They're like, I'm paying $30 for this. You better do bells and whistles. I want all the bells and whistles.
Right. Yeah, this better be amazing. Yeah, it is a shame. But I have seen. So I think it's especially with that amount of support and that number of pledges. I hope things go well with fulfillment, because nothing kind of blows up your reputation worse than botching a Kickstarter. Like once a crowdfunder, once it's time to actually get stuff to people. I've had a few artist friends completely piss people off and just like either never ship stuff or stuff gets lost and they never followed up on it. So people just the comments are just full of like just hatred. And those things live for a long time. Like Kickstarter pages like live for a while.
Feels like we haven't had any of those big take the money and run scandals.
Yeah, that's true.
In a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Fortunately.
Yeah, the last one it wasn't a big deal, but it was a company that just kind of declared bankruptcy, and somebody else took them over, and they said the latest thing that they said that they were doing, it's never going to happen because it's never going to get finished. But we are going to, if you want to take the money you committed to that, you can purchase anything from the previous campaigns. And it was all kind of small scale stuff, like small board games and little adventure books and stuff. So it wasn't huge pledge levels. But that was the last thing I heard of that kind of blew up. Oh yeah, the Praetorians on Warzone Eternal. Yeah, the models are starting to win me over. There's a few Warzone Eternal models that are looking pretty good. I'm liking the Brotherhood. How those are looking, I never realized. And I forgot too. I was looking at the old, and I kind of comparing and looking at the old metal miniatures, and I forgot the arch primates. I forgot that there's like these sentient apes that the Brotherhood has. Yeah, they got desperate and they started doing like giant gorilla stuff. So I completely forgot about those. They're never going to get there. Res Nova's never going to get to the more obscure stuff, but those are awesome models. Yeah, I came across those.
Are they apes with guns?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like in Brotherhood armor. Yeah, it's really cool. So they're like religious apes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I'll have to pick up some metal versions of those. Beautiful. But that's an interesting campaign. I think they're getting a lot more support this time because they're making it a little more. Warzone Eternal is able to work with old rules, and I think people are trying to build, COcast or kind of updated armies out of the these new miniatures, because people are ordering a lot of stuff and they're breaking it down so you can do that. You can buy boxes of 5 and actually play with larger units, not just the skirmish level, but larger units like the
nice.
Old Warzone. So I think that's where some of their success is coming from, because people are seeing updated stuff. And if you don't want metal, then Res Nova's got you covered. And it sounds like too they're going to provide cards as downloadable PDFs. So the stat cards won't be in the rule book, but it sounds like from the website you can download them. So that should get some support for that system, because if you can use your old army, that would be good too. So we'll see.
That's something we talked about last time. The availability of the cards is going to be a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true. Oh, something that I didn't have in the notes today, but it looks like Mantic is making the first steps into providing STLs. So as a promotion to get people to sign up for their vault, which I think is kind of like their, I don't know, some sort of online archive of maybe rules or things from Antic games, they are giving you STLs for their Armada ships. So there's like 2 or 3 ships that you can download to print out yourself, and so that's the first step into, because Mantic's a decent sized game with some, you're kind of following in the shadow of Games Workshop, and for them to do that is interesting. Yeah,
it's a big deal. I'm sure, like, once that got announced, someone at Games Workshop was like, ugh.
yeah, here we go. Now our customers are going to start asking when the STLs are coming. Yes. Oh, hey, Abyss is in the chat.
He broke free of the elves.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Dude, building a parking lot over the elven forest.
That's what they deserve. Nice. All right, so should we get started for this week?
Do it.
All right, so we got a bunch of little topics, nothing big and controversial, and no Wizards of the Coast. So it's a WotC free week for everyone to just kind of recover.
We'll still bag on them in our hearts.
Yes. Quietly under our breath.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's do this. Welcome to the weekly. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Matt.
Hey, Matt. How's it going? With me this week is Matt. Very cool. And this week on the weekly, BrikWars, published by Modiphius, Battletech Essentials, US only, Rainbow Six Siege is your wallet, and not just your game table, and Star Wars Unlimited trading card game, and then Rebellion acquires the rights to Tunnels and Trolls. So, yeah, quite a variety of stuff going on, and everything. This kind of touches on everything that's been going on in the industry in general. So let's start with BrikWars. So this was really surprising. Modiphius was promoting, they're probably just the distributor, helping them get things published and distributing BrikWars. So that's Brik, B-R-I-K, no C, Wars, one word. And it's basically Warhammer, like it's 40K in Legos. And I guess in the 90s, there was a big kind of homebrew movement of using Legos to play 40K. And this was one of the survivors. So this was legally distinct enough as a clone of, the homebrew stuff that people were writing, and also of the, Games Workshop setting, that they were able to continue development. So about 25 years ago, the kind of war game Lego Wars first came out and inspired a lot of people to try to do war games with Lego pieces and Lego minis, and they were cease and desisted into oblivion. Of course, if you've got the Lego Group and Games Workshop after you, I don't think you're gonna get very far. But Mike Rayhawks created BrikWars. So in '95, it was distinct enough from the previous kind of parody versions of 40K that people were doing, like Lego Wars, that it survived legally, and it had its first definitive version in 1997. So after a number of revisions, it's finally coming out with this latest rule set. Or I guess there was a rule set in the latest rule set was in 2020, and this is going to be the first time that it will be available in print. So previous to that, it was a printable PDF of an ever-changing rule set, and basically they solidified the rules, and then publisher Modiphius is going to release it. So it's the absolutely, definitely, and definitive edition of BrikWars. So did you see anything about this, Matt, or the cover of the book?
I saw a little blurb. One of the guys in our gaming group is a Lego fanatic.
Yeah.
Kind of person that, like, I saw a link that Brick Fest was coming to our town, and so I sent it to him, and he immediately sent back, "Oh, that's the fake one." Like he's on that level.
Right. The posers, the brick posers, yeah.
Right. But I have two questions. One is like how it must be really far removed from looking like 40K
Right.
to Modiphius is convinced they're not going to get sued for this.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, does it still kind of look like 40K or
Not really. It has kind of the similar roles. Like there's like the technology and but it's a lot more like wacky mashup and gonzo, I think, in the way they want you to be able to, in the rule set, play any Lego mini you want. So you can basically have Wolverine and Dragon Ball Z and Harry Potter or whatever whatever you want to match together.
Okay.
But of course,
so it's more of a universal.
Yeah. It's more like the setting is more is a kind of, I think, grimdark war, but they let you include a lot of crazy stuff, so you can push it whichever way you want. And they don't name anything that kind of overlaps with any of the factions or anything. I didn't see references to Space Marines or anything. So they're
my second question.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go.
No, go ahead.
My second question is: did you know on the Lego website you can actually design stuff, and it'll give you the how many bricks, all the parts you need basically, and then you can order them?
Yes.
Do they provide you with the information to do that, or is it all on you to?
I think it's all on you. Yeah, it's basically they give you rules to how to stat out anything you'd want to design for the game, but yeah, they are leaving it like you get to kind of come up with how you're building things. Yeah, so I don't think there's rules. It might be, I don't even know if there's base sizes or anything, but they have a BrikWars My Own Creation rule system. So you can define gameplay attributes for anything you can build out of your Legos or any minifigures you might have. So, yeah. Cool. Yeah, so it's interesting. The only problem is like switching to Lego, and maybe that's why this is the only surviving version of this. Switching to Lego doesn't save you any money. Legos are insanely expensive. I mean, you may have them around, but if you're going to buy Legos to build an army, it's not any cheaper than playing actual 40K. So it's not like you're getting any relief. You just have like more creative freedom, I guess, to mess with stuff.
It's so expensive that like people sell 3D printed Lego figures. They look like Legos, but they're just, they're 3D printed because assembling them the real way is more expensive.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's very true. And there's a lot of knockoff Legos, like a lot of Chinese counterfeit Legos and stuff. So who knows how they even, snap together. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. But so this new edition is the revamped rules, and this came out of kind of the community. So this is a lot of community contribution. So a couple of things that they talk about is a game's toy box like kind of playfulness, and they encourage players to actually break the rules. So they apply the law of fudge to maximize fun and not like rules lawyering and stuff. So that's a huge legal distinction from 40K, because 40K is all about lawyering those rules. So this is just fudge it and enjoy the goofiness of it. So a quote from Rayhawk, I created BrikWars to celebrate the timeless joy of kids smashing construction toys together, and for the past 20 years, I've had the thrill of watching the community take it in directions infinitely more creative and epic and over the top than I'd ever imagined. So this updated edition is built on the rubble of many generations of plastic empires and thousands of minifig casualties. I'm forever excited to see players create and discover all kinds of never-before-seen creative masterpieces for their minifigs to smash to plastic bits. So yeah, it sounds like their heart is in the right place, definitely. With
my son was young, he would play the Lego. Lego put out that series of board games.
Oh yeah, right.
He would build the board, and I think the one he liked the most was there was like a labyrinth, a Minotaur labyrinth one.
Mm-hmm.
You'd roll and your guys would move around. The Minotaur would eat you.
Right.
The whole time that we were playing that, because it also had buildable dice, so you could pull off the faces.
Nice.
And our friend Will was playing with us, and all he loves making up games, and all he could think is, they should just sell those dice so you can design your own games with them and stuff. And
yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea. Very nice. So the rules include the details for building the minifig specialists in the game, engineering mechanics with a K, and also everyday civilians. So there's a book with an armory and abilities. So they kind of, stat out things you can do, and you just, design the stuff that can do it. So a nuclear catapult, a chainsaw, or just a brick. You could just have your character use a brick as a weapon. A Lego brick, that would be. Nice. So it's D6 or D10 depending on the rules, and very straightforward. So you have a move action, then you can perform a separate action, which is either an attack or a special ability. And combat tests are very simple, and you're rolling against armor value, taking damage, which either defeats or reduces abilities of the target. So very fun. And they also have kind of campaign rules. So the heroic escapades are for playing matches of an ongoing campaign. And so we're going to see BrikWars, and it's got a really crazy cover of just kind of a mashup of every kind of Lego bit you can imagine, but nothing, I think, no licensed IP stuff. But it'll hit retail. The physical book will hit retail later this year from Modiphius. So the cover is a colorful battle with Cthulhu, a flaming teddy bear, an army of Lego minifigurines, and a flame-spewing Hydra. So lots of creative stuff.
Did Lego make any sets that had orcs in them?
Lord of the Rings has a lot of, and I think they did it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
They've done a couple of generic orcs in their minifigure series. There was one that looked very Warcraft. There was a very Warcraft-looking orc, and but I think most of them are from the Lord of the Rings sets. Yeah, we did. That was the thing. Our first Frostgrave campaign was Lego minifig stuff. So we were building our gangs out of minifigs, which was fun, but it's not cheap. It's definitely it's about the same. You're not painting anything, but you're paying for every little bit that you want on there.
Yep.
But so another game, or a game that is trying to get some new players in on it, is Battletech. So it was just announced Battletech. So after that huge successful campaign for Mercenaries, Battletech Essentials is coming to Target only. So Catalyst Labs is going to release, and this looks like a very, very entry point, kind of what Games Workshop was doing with some of their board games. I think they were Barnes & Noble's exclusive kind of things, where they were doing colored plastic with some simple tile-based board games to try to get you acquainted with the setting for 40K. This is going to be a very, very stripped down version of Battletech with 2 mechs, a hex grid map to play on, some tokens, dice, and a rulebook and cards. So very, as far as components, compared to their beginner box or anything else, pretty minimal. But the setting is a little bit different as well. So you're playing Solaris 7, and this isn't a combat mission or anything. It's actually a combat arena. So this is entertainment. You're on television. You're being televised, and you're seeking probably prize money and victory as entertainment. So the 2 mechs go against each other, and the ones that are included are the Legend Killer and the why is it doing that? The Yen-Lo-Wang models are included, and they give you quick start rules. And I wonder how complete those rules are, because it might just be kind of introductory rules. So 2 unpainted pre-assembled miniatures, a punch board with some terrain and any additional pieces, a double-sided map, a little bit of an instant guide to the inner sphere. Oh, and actually, and fiction too. That's cool. So 24-page novella, 4 record sheets, 4 mech cards, and the Solaris Arena map rules sheet. So all of that is $24.95 is the suggested retail. So that's less than half of the previous boxes. So it doesn't contain as much, but it's a way to get you a way to learn the rules, get a couple of models, and actually be able to play. So a very affordable entry point, and it may get discounted even more, online or whatever from Target.
So I bought. I played Battletech in the old late '80s, early '90s, and then maybe to say 10, 15 years ago. I bought one of their starter sets.
Mm-hmm.
This was after Catalyst took over.
Oh, okay.
And all the rules were there for the standard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what really annoyed me was they had all these like sort of advanced or alternative weapon systems and things listed on the equipment lists and everything, because building a custom mech is one of the funnest parts of Battletech in my opinion. But they didn't have any of the rules to explain any of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And it was so annoying because like I'm trying to teach people and they're like, well, what does this one do? And it's like, well, we don't have the rules for that one.
Oh no. Yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll just ignore that. And so I hope they didn't do anything like that in this one. They probably didn't. Sounds like it's super light.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I'm a little surprised they didn't go with 2 classic mechs.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's to get new people, they don't care about that.
Yeah, and maybe they want the collectors too to buy this set. You know, they want people to buy the set that are just huge Battletech fans. You know, the kind of collectors or completionists that want to have like everything they've ever produced. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so that's 1,900 stores in the U.S. or on Target.com. So we may have to connect with Miguel and give my daughter a call and see if she can head over to Target and pick up a couple of copies. Yeah, so and that might be pretty popular online as well. I'm sure eBay will be full of Battletech essentials for the international market. Yeah, because if they're so obviously not going to market this outside, so this product will not appear on the Catalyst Labs website either. So it's exclusive to Target stores. Yeah. So they're not gonna break.
So
any of
the latest version, do you know? Because I wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe Miguel can tell us. Did they revamp the rules at all, or did they just new edition? Here we go.
Yeah,
cleaned it up.
From what I've heard, that's still compatible. Like I don't think the rule system has changed much. They did do, and I'm forgetting what it's called, but they did a simplified rule set previously to get people to try the game without like heat rules and things like heat distribution, and so they did a simplified rule set to get people to try it. But I don't know what the biggest difference is between the new and old.
If someone tried to play Battletech with me and they didn't track heat, I would just get up and walk away.
Right. Yeah, I forget what that's called. There's like a assault mode or something where it's just you're just shooting, you're just running and shooting. They take away
baby mode. That
right. Yeah, but I guess for younger players and stuff too, and at least maybe like if that's your first game and you like how the strategy works, then to go deeper into how the mechs themselves, the mechanics of actually running that, so taking the damage but also distributing the heat might draw people in. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm curious what this will do. But yeah, after the huge success that they've had, it's funny they're doing a retail release so quickly. I put a link to the video. There's a little introduction video to kind of describe the what this setting is, and there's a little bit on the back of the box. The arenas of Solaris 7 have seen glory and defeat, honor and treachery, blood and money. Now it's your turn to make a name for yourself on the game world with an all-new Battletech boxed set, Battletech Essentials. So yeah, a little bit of kind of, and maybe that's another thing they're trying to do is not hit you too heavy with the lore, because that's a little bit of what's keeping me from diving too deep. Is I need to familiarize myself with the lore before I want to be painting models and things and kind of choosing factions, and I don't seem like I know enough. So in this Essentials set, you're basically you've got a choice of 2 mechs, and you don't have to immerse yourself into when in the timeline is this going on, who is this, what. Yeah, so it's a good approach, I think, to keep people from getting crippled, paralyzed by the huge amount of choice that you have in the game, of what you want to build and what you want to do. So yeah, keeping it very restricted. So that it's available for pre-order now, and the release date is soon. June 18th is the shipping date. So Target will see people waiting in line for the cases to be opened, or maybe taken straight from the loading docks. So so a Target exclusive. That's I mean, it's probably a good deal for them. They probably get a much better price by making it exclusive to Target. The deal must be good, but it's a little odd because Target isn't everywhere and it's not outside the U.S. So yeah, interesting move. So
I'm always surprised by what board games show up in a Target though. Like when I wanted to buy their board game section, they've really expanded that. It always surprises me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's not just Operation and Monopoly anymore. Yeah, it's it goes beyond. Yeah,
Pandemic was the one that cracked them. Like, I think Pandemic was a big one that they were like, okay, we'll try some of these nerd games and see how it goes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. Because aside from bookstores, and with bookstores disappearing, like the chain bookstores disappearing, where else would you get stuff? Yeah, that's true. I wonder how much role play, like tabletop role play stuff they carry, like if they have much 5e. I'm sure they would have the boxes, right? They probably have like the starter sets.
The 5e starter set. I think like a set of D&D branded dice.
Oh.
But pretty much that's it.
Okay. Interesting.
They sell all those villainous games.
right.
But they sell like surprising of course I'm blanking now. Like they sell Pandemic Legacy. Which seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
And, those other ones, other like niche, what I would think of as more niche board games are there. They sell Catan, big surprise, but there's those ones now. A lot of those the movie branded ones.
Oh yeah,
like the Jaws one, which is a really good game, by the way. They sell that one. They sell like the Shining one.
Oh wow.
I'm blanking, but yeah, there's a whole series. I think most of them are by Ravensburger, but or Aaliyah, which I think owns Ravensburger, or the other way around. Anyway, kind of like that They Live game that's on Kickstarter now.
Right.
Those kind of thing. Oh, The Thing. That was the other one. The Thing.
Oh, right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that would make sense. They'd go into like licensed, IP games, so they're very recognizable on the shelf. So even if you don't know the game, you'll know the setting or whatever, so that you might pick it up based on either of those things.
They were selling the segue into one of your future stories.
Yes.
They were selling Star Wars Destiny for a while too.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wondered if Fantasy Flight, like if they made it into kind of big box retailers. Yeah, because now that they're now they've been absorbed by the larger company. Yeah, interesting. Wow. Well, speaking of board games and paying too much for board games, that has to be a thing too, that when they go into the big box stores, they have to probably have a price threshold. They're not going to sell like $150 board games, so they're going to have to be, probably around $50 for people to even look at them at a Target or Walmart or whatever. Yep. But a board game that is asking for you to pay again to actually see it completed is the Rainbow Six Siege, the board game. So Mythic Games again has overextended themselves, and I think this is the danger of these licensed IP games. They've been really going heavy into doing licensed IPs, and they ran into a little trouble with Rainbow Six. This is not the first time. Previously, their Darkest Dungeon game, I believe, I think we talked about that a year or two ago, had some problems where they had to go back to the people that pledged on the Kickstarter and say, we can't finish this game. We need to ask you for more money. If you don't give us more money, we're going to have to cancel the campaign. But they were able to get the additional funds and were able to complete that game. So they're at it again. So they're asking backers to pay an extra fee for the game's unexpectedly pricey production. And the the problems that they're saying they're having is, of course, the unanticipated crisis of COVID and war in Ukraine have made it difficult. Mythic is based in France, right? They're an EU based company, so yeah, they might have more direct problems with the proximity to that conflict. So a quote from Mythic. The estimates on which we based ourselves before and during the Kickstarter campaign are absolutely no longer relative. So they're giving backers 2 weeks to decide if they're willing to pay this extra fee. And the fee is kind of broken down between how much you pledge, like the different pledge levels. So if everything goes as planned and they get the additional funding, they should fulfill by August 2023. The funds received for this contribution will entirely and exclusively be reserved for printing 6 Siege, the board game, the Rainbow Six, the Rainbow Six board game. But if people are unwilling to pay, then you will not receive your game in October. So yeah, basically they need a certain number of people to pledge, and if it doesn't work out, then they're not going to go through with it. So based on what pledge level you backed, if you were at the $69 level, they're asking for an additional $39. $199, they're asking for another $99, and if you went all in at $269, be prepared to give them an additional $129.
Oh,
so you're almost
yeah. Everything I said earlier about people being annoying on Kickstarter and complaining about shit, it doesn't count for this, because this is a whole nother thing.
It really is, yeah. So if you really want to play Rainbow Six, you're going to be paying about $400 for the total experience. Whew. But to kind of sweeten the deal, they're going to add extra maps and STL files for the miniatures as a way of apologizing. So I guess that helps. They had so their previous campaign that they had to do this with, Darkest Dungeon, they had 80% of the backers pay the extra fee, which enabled them to produce the game. So if they don't hit the level that they need to finish production, people will get their contributions back. I don't know if that means everything, their initial pledges and everything, but if you commit to this extra money and it doesn't happen, you'll definitely get that back. I'm not sure what else is being refunded. They also said, we spent much more than expected in development of the game, with more people than expected working on it, and much longer than we originally estimated. So they have a laundry list of reasons now. It's more employees, longer development time, the war in Ukraine. Everything is adding to the list. This didn't come out of nowhere, though. The backers were warned as early as March, in a March update, that this would be happening, giving them time to kind of make the decision. The managing director of Mythic Games said, "We know it's a difficult situation to accept. We understand a lot of anger or disappointment, but we've been very clear and simply offered a clear choice to make. We want to do everything we can to deliver this game to you, to the motivated backers who will take the plunge, rather than playing it low-key and avoiding making noise." Well, it's good. I mean, it's good that they're not. I mean, but they have a reputation and they have, projects in process and future crowdfunding. So of course they can't just go radio silent and hope for the best. We never got our games. But so I think that kind of golden age that we had of these crazy, big Kickstarters for these big Ameritrash, like, so many plastic minis, huge amounts of cardboard. Board games might be coming to an end just because they're getting prohibitively expensive. I mean, people are not going to want to pay $400 to play a complete experience of a board game.
So this is another situation where I would love to see the licensing contract that they have. Who's Rainbow Six? Is that like EA or?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the Tom Clancy EA stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that contract.
Mm-hmm.
Did they just give them a bunch of money at the beginning? Are they promising them a percentage of revenue?
Right.
Is there an ongoing payment plan? I would love to know the structure. Because if it's anything where EA or whoever it is expecting money down the line, oh boy.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
No, that's very true. Yeah. Yeah, and if they keep running into this, I think it's going to make people more and more cautious. I didn't look at the total numbers, but I wonder if the total collected for these campaigns is slowly decreasing because people are becoming a little more wary of this kind of thing happening again. Yeah, it's got to be. I don't know. This whole model is a little strange. I mean, it's made things possible that would have never been a reality before, been possible to be published or become a physical game. It's helped a lot of those things happen, but some companies I think have become very addicted to this kind of treadmill of, okay, we'll raise $2 million for this and then we'll use it to fund this, and so they're paying for stuff with new money that it was that needed. It's very very difficult to kind of get off
Kickstarter,
that. Yeah.
Kickstarter should have I don't know, like a cooling off period where like
Yeah, right.
if your Kickstarter hits this amount of money, you cannot do another Kickstarter for a year.
Right.
I don't, some kind of cooling off period, because it's just bad money management, right? I mean, it's just unrealistic, over promising, under delivering. Sorry, France, this is why your president wants you all to retire a year later now. It's because you're bad with money.
Right. Yeah, but I think that's very true, because you do get companies that they haven't fulfilled a previous crowdfunding campaign and they're starting another one and they're asking for more money. You've already given them $100 and they're like, oh, how about another $100 for this other game that we're going to be working on? We haven't finished the previous one, but we really want to do that. So yeah. I don't know. It's a little tricky, and I think the system may eventually break down. And companies like Hasbro are just doing this themselves. They're moving this whole idea completely onto their own websites and trying to crowdfund Star Wars lightsaber toys and stuff. So,
but then that becomes a problem too, because like I was thinking about that the other day. This Hasbro, and it ties into what we were saying earlier about Target, like. Whatever Hasbro does in their lab thing is they don't then turn that into a line that they produce, right?
Right.
So it doesn't end up going into Target or Walmart or whatever.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So it's built in niche, like I don't know. I guess if Kickstarter had that, like if you were like, okay, look, you need to have small goals and small, like, don't plan for this to become this giant life-changing event. Keep it more like cottage industry, like small. But they don't, because Kickstarter just wants their money. So.
Yeah. They're loving it that they're getting these multi-million-dollar campaigns because they get 10% of that. So yeah, with just a little bit of promotion and running a website, Kickstarter cleans up on these big. And I think that's the problem, because the power of Kickstarter is enabling small individual creators to actually get stuff to their fans directly and have people support you directly and have the ability to work with these companies to do distribution and publishing or printing that you never would have before. But then when the big guys come in with a lot of money and these big licensed IPs and stuff, it was good though. That was the thing that was a little bit reassuring. Speaking about the Alchemy virtual tabletop that you mentioned before, there are obviously companies, licenses like Alien and Blade Runner, that are telling these companies, we don't want our name, our IP in a crowdfunding campaign. That's that's a step below us. And I think that some companies should be considering that. They shouldn't so easily take stuff to crowdfunding. But I think it's going to be unfortunately, it's not going to work as well, but it's going to be more necessary because of all this unexpected, cost of actually shipping things out and production. If that becomes more and more unpredictable, then you're going to have to rely on crowdfunding, because you don't want to take those risks without it. You don't want that. You won't have any money in advance. You're going to go into this. You're putting your company at risk going into this gambling, and the cost can be, much bigger than you ever expected, and completely can bankrupt your company. Whereas Kickstarter will at least give you a buffer. You don't have to commit to anything before you've got customers handing their fistful of cash to you. So we'll see. What happens in the future, but it's just a shame that it's not. It doesn't exclusively. They try. I mean, they obviously with the RPG, kind of jam stuff, or like the campaigns they do to support small zine type publishers and stuff. They do support smaller creators, but they love those multi-million-dollar campaigns now.
Have you backed anything on the what's it called? It's the one that used to be just a promoter of Kickstarters, and then they started doing their own.
Oh, like GameFound,
or GameFound?
Yeah, I think so.
Have you backed anything on there?
I backed. I think on both, because there's two of them that are competing now that were both back ends. I think I've backed on both of them, and I don't think it hasn't been long enough. Nothing's fulfilled yet, but they're really good with updates. You almost get too many updates, because even stuff that you didn't back, they send you updates for. Just if you were interested in it or signed up to be notified about the launch of it, they act like you're a backer. So it's a little bit confusing because you're getting updates for things you didn't pledge on. And so you're like, wait a minute, did I buy this game? But I think they're doing that as a trick, because at any time you can still jump into the late pledge. Like they keep things open, even though it's a time limited campaign, until it actually goes to production, they're still taking pledges. So they'll send you, they'll send you updates just to hope that you'll, jump in at a later date. Yes.
That's funny too. So like if you have a campaign and it has an end date, you should be getting all that stuff straight with your production company in China or whatever, and getting all your stuff set with your distribution company. But then if you're going to take these late pledges somewhere, that's going to mess up your books, I would assume.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they just have like they overproduced to a certain extent to just allow for that, and they would love if that stuff got pre-sold as well. So yeah, it's hard to know, because it seems like recently too, so many Kickstarters are just saying this will never go to retail, even though there are some online retailers that do take overstock of Kickstarter, especially Come On games and stuff. So when Come On says it's not going to retail, they're usually lying, because online retail, I guess they don't consider that a thing. But that's been a thing recently. So speaking of companies we no longer trust and are skeptical of,
that's a long list.
Yeah, let's move on to Fantasy Flight. So Flight, yes, I used to really like their Arkham World, or whatever they call it. They're kind of Lovecraft stuff, and I liked a lot of stuff that early Fantasy Flight did, but they have really made it hard to like them with their long list of kind of failures and projects that just fell apart for no good reason. So the next one on that list will be Star Wars Unlimited, the trading card game. And they're calling it a non-gimmicky trading card game. So I'm a little confused about this terminology now, because Fantasy Flight coined the living card game. The kind of their thing that they created was a living card game that did not have random packs, that had they named it different things for their different games, but it basically had card packs that were released that were all the same. So they would come out and everybody would buy these, small decks, and they would be the exact same cards, and they would add mechanics to the game, and everyone had access to them. It wasn't the person that bought a case of the cards or bought the luckiest pack that got the best cards. So it became more deck building and skill based that allowed these cards to work within the game. But it did create this weird treadmill where the meta was kind of driven by these releases, and it was predictable what cards were coming out, so you had to get these cards and kind of be ready for the meta to shift with this availability. A bit different from Magic, which involves a huge investment to kind of make sure you have all the best cards. So the confusion is there's trading card games, TCGs, and there's CCGs, collectible card games. So what are these going to be? Random packs? There's nothing in their press release right now that is saying if these are coming as randomized packs or these are decks you buy and everybody gets the same. They're being a little bit unclear about how these games will be presented, if they'll be completed decks or you're buying card packs. Yeah, it's a little odd.
My reading of it. Well, okay. First of all, when I read that press release, and when they said not gimmicky, I kind of thought maybe they were referring to Destiny,
Ah. Mm-hmm.
because Destiny had the dice,
Right.
which, for whatever reason, some Magic players and Pokemon players, whatever, that like broke their brains a little bit. But
Right. Right.
it was a little bit of a hassle
Mm-hmm.
having to collect having these huge collections of dice to go with these big collections of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, living card games,
Mm-hmm.
not as efficient as they wanted everyone to think,
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
because the rules normally always were you could run three of a card
Mm-hmm.
in your deck in the Fantasy Flight living card games. Well, when you bought the living card box, which I think in some instances you could subscribe to them,
Mm-hmm.
um, you got one of
Yes.
each of those new cards.
Right. Right.
So really, you had to buy three of those sets to get
Yes.
enough to make it playable in a competitive deck.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Oh yeah.
not as charitable as they wanted everyone to think it
Oh yeah.
was. Like,
And
um,
their core sets, their starter sets, yeah, to really be in, because I got into Netrunner a little bit late, and basically they said you need to buy three core sets to have three of each of the cards to even start out at a basic level of having competitive decks. So yeah, that's a really shady business model. And the things that they've been doing too with some of their other like model based games like X-Wing and stuff is they're basically forcing you to buy everything they release regardless of the faction or whatever, because there'll be faction neutral cards in there that will be useful for you. So they just want you to buy everything and not without any question. And I think even Games Workshop has picked up a little bit on that kind of bad business model of just wanting you to buy everything just in case. Yeah, just in case we've included something useful. So Unlimited will launch in 2024 with a full 200 plus card set. So this is all new art based on the original trilogy, which from the promotional work looks terrible, I'm sorry to say, but there's a lot of great digital painted art out there. And this looked like coloring book, traced coloring books from the 70s. It looked really, really weak as far as old school original trilogy art. And they're also going to do a full slate of organized play events. So right away they want this to be an organized competitive game. So Jim Cartwright is the co-designer of this game and acknowledges that they're fighting an uphill battle to earn the hearts of potential players who were burned by previous experiences of Fantasy Flight franchises. And so basically every card game, and there's some on the shelves behind me, of games that they literally have just abandoned. They either lost the license or just gave up development of a game and never completed it. So especially for like a living card game, you could actually come to like an end point where you say, okay, we're not adding any more mechanics. This is the game. This is the card pool, and it will be playable forever. They've never done that. They've never finished a game. They just kind of, dwindle because of, I think, of how they design and produce. They never can get to the point. It's kind of like, a sitcom or whatever that's canceled mid-season and you never get any resolution on any of the characters, the stories. A lot of their card games have done that thing where they're just this unplayable, like, they just dwindle into nothing and have underdeveloped mechanics and weird overpowered cards that come out at the end and just kind of, blow things up. But so a few of their failures in the past, of course, have been Netrunner, where they lost the license for the game, I guess, which was originally WotC's, and Legend of the Five Rings, and of course Matt named Star Wars Destiny, the dice card game. So the other weird thing that's happened to them recently was Keyforge. So Keyforge was this another Garfield game, another Richard Garfield game that had this interesting mechanic where based on an algorithm, they pre-built decks, and you would have these decks that were just kind of randomly made, but around a couple of factions or whatever. They had a system that they were making these decks. So you didn't do any deck building. You just bought a deck and played it, and based on whatever factions were in it, it would have a certain dynamic. But a mysterious technical mishap with their algorithm forced them to just stop production on the game, say that they were going to resume production someday, and never did. And then eventually a totally different company, which I think is owned by one of the creators, or one of the directors of Keyforge, is now trying to produce the game. They're trying to repair what got broken, and are producing it independently from Fantasy Flight. So they haven't had a great track record with card games, and so this is a bit odd. And the timing of this is, especially because it's original trilogy, it's just kind of strange because nothing Star Wars is making anybody very excited recently. So another quote from Fantasy Flight: "This is a game in which we have dedicated more resources than any other game in Fantasy Flight games history." Cartwright says, "In the past, these kinds of games, we had a difficulty hitting those kind of regular cadences, release cadences. Anyone who played a Fantasy Flight game knows this. It's something that we've struggled with, and we are committed to putting games out on time. It's the way the industry works. If you want to do a trading card game, you have to be able to be committed to hit those dates." And with how unreliable Chinese production is and supply chain is, I don't know why they think suddenly now they can do this. So, and another quote by Cartwright: "We're not trying to get into anything crazy or fancy. We just want to focus all our design on how do we make the best card game, specifically focus on the cards, focus on the interactions with those cards, and the kind of unlimited possibilities you get from being able to play with all of your Star Wars toys. It is a non-gimmicky trading card game." So
okay. So many opinions right now. What did they say? I don't remember. Did they say in the press release an estimated release date?
They just said next year. Yeah, it's going to be beginning of next year. Yeah, next 2024.
2024. Mm-hmm. Okay, here's my prediction. Lock it in. Just pay attention.
Okay.
2026. The line will be over.
Yes, I agree. Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree.
So 2 biggies that weren't on your list. The Genesis role-playing game.
Oh yeah.
They took their Star Wars game, which was actually quite beloved by a lot of people, modified the system, made it a universal sort of RPG system.
Right.
Got a lot of kudos for it, even though I personally don't like it. Got a lot of kudos for it, and they dropped it. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Bigger than that, even, is they shot themselves in the foot. Pissed off Games Workshop and lost all their Games Workshop stuff.
Yes, that's right.
I have what's the big 40K board game called? Oh,
the Horus Heresy. The
Battlefleet. No.
Oh, Relic. The big.
It's like Twilight Imperium, but 40K, and I'm blanking on what it's called right now.
Oh, okay.
It's a really good game.
Yeah,
it takes like 8 hours to play. But it's a really good game.
Nice.
And I have that in a treasured corner, you know, like protect this at all costs because it will never be allowed to be made again.
Oh, nice.
Not Space Hulk Abyss, but thank you. Anyway, they pissed off Games Workshop because they wanted to put out their own rank and file miniature battle games.
Yes, right. And
they lost their Games Workshop shit.
Right.
And they're not really doing that great in the wargame area
anymore.
Not at all.
Right.
So, this will fail. Because the other reason it's going to fail is because possibly the only thing that's going to sell enough to stay alive coming out is that Lorcana, the Disney TCG.
Right.
Nobody between Magic, Pokemon, and Lorcana, they're not going to get any numbers on sales for this thing.
Right. No, that's very true.
They're going to get a small, Star Wars diehard who buy everything Star Wars. And maybe a little experimentation from people that loved Destiny, because Destiny also was a lot of fun. But then it's just going to it's not going to compete. It's going to die. They're going to kill it. It's don't waste your money.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like it's not worth committing to. And I think if they're anticipating a competitive scene or competitive events to keep this going, and also a secondary market, like Magic has for reselling valuable cards and things, I think that's insane because that's already dominated by Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff. Yeah, so Ravensburger's Disney Lorcana I think is going to totally destroy anything.
I'm going to buy it just because I want the little Fox Robin Hood from my childhood card.
Right.
But,
Yes. Yeah, so this is a really weird thing. And I noticed in one of the comments under this announcement, somebody said, wait a minute, you guys just released a Star Wars card game. So in March of this year, they released Star Wars the Deck Building Game. So a head-to-head two-player galaxy-expanding war between Galactic Empire and Rebel Alliance comes alive on your tabletop, and I think it's like a pre-built decks, like a light deck and a dark deck, and it's a deck building, whereas like you're picking up cards as part of the gameplay, like you're buying cards during rounds.
I'm pretty sure all the assets for that are just scavenged from the Star Wars card game they tried and failed with.
Right.
Before Destiny, they had another one. They had another Star Wars living card game that failed. Yeah. And they did Destiny, and then they put out that box that you're talking about. And I think the assets in that box are all taken from that old card game.
Wow. Yeah. So yeah. It's really strange, and they're already creating such brand confusion, because if they're going to have so many things. Star Wars, or we're going to have so many licensed Star Wars card games, people are not going to know, okay, is this the new one or not? Yeah. It's very strange. I just don't think they've figured anything out. Oh, and a funny thing, they released a statement back when Keyforge had its little glitch. They released a statement that talked about the unforeseen complication in the algorithm for Keyforge. It's broken and it needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. This is neither an easy process nor a fast one. So that is why the game is going on hiatus for a while, and it never came back from that hiatus. But they don't have luck. I think they have their production processes, and their I think the owner, I heard a quote years ago of him saying at any one time they have 2,000 print jobs active in China for their games. And this was more at their height when they were, had all their licenses and everything. But
that was, now they got bought by Asmodee.
Yes, you're right.
And then Asmodee got bought by Embracer Group.
Oh, right. That's right.
I haven't talked about them in a while.
Yeah.
And nothing's, to me, it doesn't seem like anything's changed. Same old bad management at Fantasy Flight.
Yeah. I think they mistakenly left the same people in charge, and they're just they're making these same bad decisions, and in a world that's even more difficult to pull this kind of stuff off. So it's very strange. So another failed Star Wars game, and it's just Star Wars could not be at a lower ebb in popularity right now, as far as people just giving up on that brand. So I don't know. We will see what actually.
Did you see that? This is a tangent. So did you see that the interview with what's her name, Kathleen Kennedy?
Oh,
about the future titles and stuff.
Oh no! I saw their little press thing they did when they announced the Ahsoka series and stuff. Oh, and the new Rey movie, possibly.
Yeah. So they claim that the Rogue Squadron movie is still on the books.
Oh,
And she said that, what was the other one? Oh, she said Taika Waititi's movie is still happening, but he has 2 good acts. So basically, she's saying he's not even done writing the thing.
Wow. Yeah.
What else did they say? Oh, they said there's a Lando project that might still be on the books. Something. Oh, yeah. They asked about Rian Johnson. Remember how Rian Johnson was supposed to do a trilogy?
Right.
Yeah. And she said, "Oh, I talk to him every day, but he's a very busy man." I'm like, what the does that mean?
Oh man. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Maybe he's subverting our expectations by taking a trilogy and making it 0 films. Now a trilogy means no films at all. Yeah. Dude, you're blowing our minds.
Worst space chase in science fiction history.
Yes,
anyway,
yes. I love the introduction of space gas. That's awesome. We ran out of space gas. It's brutal.
The old from the original trilogy, how the Millennium Falcon had those kind of breakdown noises it would make. They should have done that in that movie.
Yeah. Just brutal. Yeah, so Star Wars is just not in a good place right now. And if they don't release, I think they're scheduled to release something by 2025. If they don't do something in the theater, people are just going to start forgetting about it. If it's only going to be comic books and streaming series, that's going to be rough. So we'll see. Well, this last piece is about cautious optimism, right? So the last thing I wanted to talk about, and something that Bat has some familiarity with, Tunnels and Trolls, the second big RPG released very shortly after the original D&D, is returning with a new edition from a new studio. So Rebellion, the publisher of 2000 AD and also the Sniper Elite series, and a lot of other, they're doing a lot of board games and things recently as well in their Rebellion Unplugged. They bought the rights on the eve of the 50th anniversary of Tunnels and Trolls for the a new version of Tunnels and Trolls, as well as they're going to keep active like everything that's available right now. Because the interesting thing about it is it really hasn't changed that much. The rules are not very different from the 1975 original. So there hasn't been big changes. So if you're familiar with it at all, it still plays pretty much like it always has. So it's generally considered to be the second major tabletop RPG ever published, because things like Empire of the Petal Throne were self-published previously to that, so not officially distributed. So Ken St. Andre was the original creator, and basically Tunnels and Trolls was a reaction to him seeing Dungeons and Dragons and saying that's a little too complicated, and what's with these dice? Let's just do D6s and have a maybe be a little more playful, have a little bit more of a sense of humor. So 6-sided dice and 8 basic stats, including a luck stat, which is a very fun mechanic, and also points-based magic. So in comparison to what D&D was doing, it was a whole kind of a different take that let people that weren't quite, didn't quite take to that original D&D rule set to jump onto something else and to play, fantasy role play. The other great kind of innovation that they had is solo play. So they basically released lone player adventures that were solo adventures that basically I think were the inspiration to things like Fighting Fantasy and Choose Your Own Adventure books, because you're basically going through a numbered set of events that have mechanical, you're keeping a character sheet, but you're also progressing through this adventure, similar to a Choose Your Own Adventure book. And that was a big early kind of innovation for tabletop, because D&D wasn't doing anything like that. I think eventually in the 80s they did release their own kind of Choose Your Own Adventure books, but as far as solo play for D&D, that never was an official thing.
Yeah, Tunnels and Trolls is like it's so the background there that you were talking about, there's a cool story. Like, he basically went to like some kind of convention or something, like super small scale, obviously, because it was the 70s, but saw D&D being played, couldn't actually afford it, and built a game from what he remembered seeing.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah,
which is totally cool. And I don't know if you've ever played it, but the interaction is, even though it's a fantasy role-playing game, it's so different than how D&D and most everything came after D&D works. Like, literally, like it feels more like a co-op game, because like everything is just dice, right? You have dice, and you just roll the dice for your weapons. You add the appropriate number, which might be like your strength or your dexterity, but everyone does it all at once.
Yes, right.
You just come up with this big ass number,
right?
And you compare it to the bad guy's big ass number, and the bigger number wins, and the losers take the difference in damage, and they get to split it up however they want, and you just rinse and repeat until the combat is over.
Right.
And like, it's so different than like anything that's in the RPG scene, really. And I've always loved they're like an indie company. They never got out of indie mode. Like they're kind of Steve Jackson-y,
right?
Nothing's high budget, flying under the radar. You mentioned the solo games is probably what kept them alive.
Yeah.
People love their solo. There's a ton of solo modules for Tunnels and Trolls. And it's also such a simple system that it's really easy to homebrew, kind of the way OSR people will look fondly at original D&D.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, it's so easy to do homebrew stuff with this because it's so simple. Well, Tunnel of Trolls is even simpler.
Right,
So,
right.
and then like you mentioned, the fun aesthetic. Like if you go through the rule book, there's line drawing cartoons all over the place, and then
Hmm.
they're just silly. Like there's an ogre with an arrow through his head, and he's yelling, "You missed all my vital spots," and like
Right, right.
that kind of. And then the spell names, take that, you fiend, is the fireball of Tunnels and Trolls, basically.
Hmm.
And they have a wall dissolving spell called Slush Yuck,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and like, yeah, just the whole aesthetic is fun and light and easy to get into. So I really hope this works out. Like,
Yeah, me too.
and they don't alter it too much. It's a British
Yes.
company, right? You
Right.
said
Yeah,
so.
Rebellion, yeah.
Yeah, I hope they don't feel the need to alter it too much. It'd be
Mm.
cool if they like gave you like a new slate of optional rules to maybe make it a little more crunched
Right.
or something,
Yeah, yeah.
but keep the core.
Hmm. No, I think that, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, the version history of Tunnels and Trolls is really interesting. So this article was saying that in the first 5 years they did several new editions, but then almost for 30 years nothing happened between the from the 1979 fifth edition. So from 1979 to about 2005, things kind of stayed the same, and fifth edition was the furthest that it went. Then it was a kind of 5.5 revision. A seventh edition was released that same year that 5.5 came out, kind of
Mhm.
jumping numbers. And the other thing that I thought was, and then there was a 30th anniversary that was kind of their 7.5 in 2008. The game's eighth edition, released in 2012, was exclusively released in French. I thought that was a great a great detail. And then of course 2015 we got the deluxe edition. So if you've bought Tunnels and Trolls recently, you probably have that deluxe edition book, which is effectively the ninth edition of the rules. But like I've always understood that the rules didn't ever drastically change. It was always very much the same game. Things didn't go very far. So Flying Buffalo was the original publisher, and Rick Loomis passed away in 2019. So the rights of Tunnels and Trolls were then acquired by a conglomerate named Webbed Sphere. And we have had from Trollhalla, at least the press that that Ken St. Andre still works with. They have done still regular releases. We're getting a lot of things, mostly digital on Drive-Thru RPG and things, a lot of solo adventures and things are being brought back. But now we're going to see a new version now that Rebellion has picked it up. So a British publishing house, but also a video game developer and comic book publisher. So they do a lot of stuff. So Rebellion does 2000 AD. Their in-house tabletop studio is called Rebellion Unplugged. Prior to the pandemic, they were going to release these kind of RPG and a magazine scenarios that were coming out semi regularly, but they only released the first one. Pandemic hit, and they kind of things slowed down. Second one was finally released a few years later, and they do good quality production. Like the production of their RPG works, and they're also reviving a lot of the old Judge Dredd board games and things. So they do decent production work. So it's going to look nice. It's going to have a good look to it. But this acquisition of the rights is also going to allow them to they've acquired all of Flying Buffalo's games, so that it will include the City Book, the Fantasy Business Supplement, the Grimtooth series, Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes. So everything that was under the Flying Buffalo ownership, Rebellion will now be producing, and they'll keep it available. Everything that's already been produced will still be available in PDF version as it is now on Drive-Thru. But their plans are to release a new edition of Tunnels and Trolls, bringing the RPG into a new era, is the quote. And so that's a little bit worrisome. But still, they're saying they are very early on in development. So hopefully they share with the community, like or in play testing or something, we get some exposure to this before it actually goes to press, so we can know whether or not, we want to, whether this is going to be a faithful or a very strange updating of these rules.
So will that be the 10th edition.
Yeah, I guess it would officially be a 10th edition and a 50th anniversary edition too, because if they're the same, if they're saying 75, so 2025 would be the 50th anniversary of Tunnels and Trolls. So that would be a 10th edition on the 50th anniversary. So very interesting. So Duncan Malloy, who is the studio head at Rebellion Unplugged, calls Tunnels and Trolls an unrecognized trailblazer in the games industry. So the team at Flying Buffalo responded early to an entirely new medium by focusing on how role-playing could be more approachable, more accessible, and more fun, Malloy says. He said also, so much of the modern era of role-playing, from old-school hacks to streamlined systems to solo play, can directly trace its roots back to this series. We're very excited to channel that spirit and bring Tunnels and Trolls into a modern era. So everything that was previously published will still be available in PDF forms as it is now, and they're working currently on a new edition. So I hope that it goes well. I think I feel the same way about Tunnels and Trolls that I do kind of Dungeon Crawl Classics. It's such a kind of loving, playful response to what's become kind of a more serious or more lifestyle brand of fantasy tabletop roleplay, that I think it's necessary for these things to exist and people to keep their sense of humor and their playfulness about how these games should run, instead of just min-maxing and power gaming as heroes. The fun of dungeon crawling and of this setting, I think Tunnels and Trolls has in spades.
The only difference is, like, Tunnels and Trolls from 1975 had more cohesive editing than Dungeon Crawl Classics does right now.
Well, that's true.
But anyway.
Right. But yeah, I hope they do this justice. I think if they really are fans of the original and don't put too much kind of Brit RPG aesthetic into it, the British touch. We don't need grimdark Tunnels and Trolls or anything like that, or too much political satire about politicians and systems we know nothing about.
It's like the original, well, not the original, but it was always rooted in homebrew worlds and homebrew games. Like, they had a world for it, but I don't think many people used it.
Right.
It was always a do-it-yourself kind of game. So
yeah, and the one thing that I've read, that hopefully with a company that has some resources like Rebellion, one of the things that they can go after that I think really hurt Tunnels and Trolls, because they stayed very indie, the Flying Buffalo stayed very indie in how they were producing it, is they can go after those people on Amazon that are basically doing print-on-demand bootleg versions of all of the solo adventures and everything that's been produced for Tunnels and Trolls. You can buy in these like paperback collections, and there's all of these unofficial versions that Flying Buffalo isn't able to go out and legally have taken down. So you've got so many people that are printing materials they didn't write, that they've just stolen. They've basically taken these PDFs and are making physical versions of them. And so the market gets very diluted and confused. If you search Tunnels and Trolls on something like Amazon, you get a lot of this weird bootleg stuff that it is the original material, but it's not benefiting any of the original creators. The original companies and designers are not seeing anything from it, because it's all basically pirated, pirated digital goods made physical. So I hope Rebellion can clean that up a little bit and kind of get the brand, rewarding the people that actually worked on it. But so it's fun. Yeah, I played a lot of the solo adventures. So I've done a few of the solo campaigns, and that was something that I was even considering doing, like an actual solo play on the channel. When I reviewed. When I went through Tunnels and Trolls as a kind of a flip through book review, some people were saying, they would want to see that on the channel. So I'm still tempted to do that. But
so when you did the solo games or the flip through, I guess either one, was that your first exposure to Tunnels and Trolls?
Yes, it was. Oh. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, back in the day, I didn't. I don't think, because I basically had one hobby shop and so whatever he carried was the stuff we played. So he was like heavy into Palladium and TSR basically. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't exposed to, and no Games Workshop, no Citadel stuff at all. Yeah.
So I always wonder where people come down on like this kind of thing, because I think for me, when I see like that sort of primitive cartoony art,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's also their biggest artist was Liz Danforth.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And but back then, even maybe she hadn't completely flushed out her skills. I don't know how you
Mm-hmm.
describe that, but so there's some stuff in there that would not with WotC wouldn't put on their books. Let's put it that way.
Right. Right.
And I'm always curious, like when you saw that for the first time, were you like, "Oh, this is amateurish," or was it more like a sentimental? "Oh, this is old and cute" or something? I mean, what was your reaction?
Oh yeah, the art. I like the art for Tunnels and Trolls a lot. Yeah, and it had some nostalgia to it, because I think all of the early TSR stuff and everything. It was rough, like the line art and stuff. Even there were some talented artists, but most of them hadn't quite hit their stride yet about
Yeah.
hit a really solid style. So no, I liked it a lot. Of that, it was very charming and felt appropriate. I liked it. I think it worked well with the setting and the fact that it was an older game. Yeah, I think it worked well.
That's always my feeling as well. But
Mm-hmm.
if I think like between Wizards and Games Workshop, there's a whole segment of gamers now that they expect this like just intricate,
Yeah.
glossy art
Mm-hmm.
that's like super detailed, but in an unrealistic, heroic way. and
Yeah, yeah.
and I just wonder how they will react if this company even tries to stick with that, or they just bring in all new art. I don't know.
I wonder. Yeah, that's right. If they try to recreate, yeah, yeah. I wonder what Rebellion's choices are going to be. Their stuff is pretty. I mean, they're reprinting a lot of older stuff, so some of the art is kind of wonky, and like the Judge Dredd board games and stuff. It's not amazingly like it's not very digital or very modern. So I wonder, yeah, what they're going to go with for the aesthetic. Yeah, because they could definitely take it the wrong direction if they make it look too slick. I think people will not quite understand, yeah, what they're dealing with as far as the system, because yeah, there is a certain, yeah, because like the naming conventions for the spells and things, I think there is an aesthetic that fits that, and it's definitely not that very epic digitally painted dynamic art that Wizards of the Coast uses for D&D. So we don't want to see that. So yeah, I wonder. Yeah, but we'll see. I definitely want to keep an eye on this, because I would love to see a new edition of this and see support for this that was more focused and got people to see this as a very viable alternative to Dungeons and Dragons. And we were talking about wanting to move away from 5e. This would be a great way. I mean, 10e Tunnels and Trolls would be a great way to to replace that
Yeah,
replace that system.
I think they had multi-classing before D&D did too,
Oh wow.
because they had the Wizard Warrior option
Hmm.
right out of in the first edition.
Very cool. Yeah. So what was your experience? So this was the first fantasy role play game that you played,
Yeah.
Tunnels and Trolls? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was like 14, I fell in with these high school guys who were playing role-playing games regularly, and they were running Tunnels and Trolls and Star Frontiers.
Oh wow.
Like I owned some D&D stuff. Like I
Hmm.
owned the Monster Manual and the old red box,
Hmm.
the old basic red box, not the other newer one.
Right.
And but I never played them. I
Hmm.
just kind of flipped through them. Like it's hilarious. You reading the Monster Manual and trying to understand how a game works. When you're a kid.
Right. Right.
Right? So the first real game I played was Tunnels and Trolls, and then we played Star Frontiers. So then when D&D actually rolled around,
Hmm.
D&D felt like so different. Like
Right. Right.
because even Star Frontiers, although it was a TSR product, the system was completely different
Hmm.
than D&D. It was more of a percentile game.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah. So like I've always had like an old school perspective, but slightly askew
Uh-huh.
because I started in a different place than a lot of people did.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very cool. Nice. So, are you optimistic about what Rebellion could do, or do you think
We
it's
call it hopeful.
yeah,
We call
hopeful?
it
Yeah.
hopeful. Yeah, yeah. I mean, if they got 2008, I like 2000 AD. I used to play some of those old Judge Dredd
Hmm.
games. And so if they stuck with the vintage on those,
Yeah.
then we're probably in a good place, you
Yeah.
know.
No, that's true. Yeah, and if it's more, and if they are going to consider the 50th anniversary and stuff, they are going to want to, yeah, make sure it's a recognizable version of the game. So, yeah, that would be very cool.
If
So,
I
yeah,
were them, I'd give her the core book
mm-hmm.
and then the and here's some cool stuff you could try book, you know,
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
it's like a 2 book set or something.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, so we will definitely be paying attention, and hopefully they'll be releasing stuff to the public, and so we'll get a chance to see what they want to do with it before, something just goes to press. So yeah, interesting. 50 years of Tunnels and Trolls will now be finished off in England. Wow. All right, so that is going to do it for this week. So where can people find you, Matt? Do you want to promote anything?
I'm on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk announced that he's finally stepping down.
He was voted off, right, on his Twitter poll.
No, yeah, but he refused to acknowledge that. Jackass. Anyway, uh, so I'm on there. It's at Hargold, Haargald. Exact same thing on Tribal. If you want to be one of the 4 people talking about games on Tribal, uh, or Instagram. I occasionally post my Stargrave pictures on Instagram. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool.
How about you?
All right, and I'm still doing my single panel gag cartoon, so Abuse Cartoons on Twitch and YouTube. You can find that. So I draw the cartoon, eat some crazy stuff from Japanese convenience stores, and it's just basically a hang, and gives me a couple hours to get my ideas drawn out, and also it's fun. I get a lot of feedback and stuff from the chat, so it helps a lot to make sure I'm not trying to make some totally incomprehensible joke that nobody's going to get, some pop culture reference that nobody knows anything about anymore. But yeah, so Abuse Cartoons. And if you want to read the cartoon, gocomics.com/domestic abuse is the archive. So 20 years of that cartoon.
That's huge, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. And if you want to support what we're doing at Upturned Table, please visit the website first of all. So everything is there, and Upturned Table on social media. And to become a weekling, a direct supporter of the weekly live stream and podcast, please visit patreon.com/upturntable. And we have got a bunch of different pledge levels to support kind of what's going on here. And the latest thing that we posted was the Dragonbane. So Dragonbane actual play, the first episode of that came out. And yeah, so it was a little different from our Blade Runner because we were actually using tokens and a grid for that. So, but the art assets are so good from Free League that it still has a nice feel. There's still enough of a story there. It's not too much mechanics and too much dungeon crawling that you can't enjoy the story. And again, Matt knocked it out of the park with his Mallard Knight. There were some great, already in just episode 1, some really great moments of of Duck Knight arrogance. Yeah, good stuff.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can't wait. So that's we should have that relatively soon, right? The Dragonbane is on its way, and yeah. And you can also pick up, so that quick start that we used is available for free on DriveThruRPG, and also the core set that includes everything that's going to be released when they fulfill the Kickstarter is already available digitally on DriveThruRPG. So those links are in the description. And that'll do it for this week. So Matt and I will be right back to talk about the chat, but give us about 30 seconds to get some room tone so we can clean up this audio. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back again next week. And thanks again to Matt for co-hosting. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Our 30 seconds of silence. Are you still with us, Matt?
I am present.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Just wanted to make sure because I changed the scene that the audio and everything is still working.
I'm watching you. There's a about 5 second lag on YouTube.
Right.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, still sitting there checking, enjoying the silence.
You started talking and it said 5 seconds. Like, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah. There's a lag.
That's right. Yeah. There is. So how?
I'm gonna lean forward now. This chair I'm in is really uncomfortable.
All right. No. All right. So how's everyone doing in the chat? Miguel and Abyss and K5. It was good to see you. Good to see you show up. So so hit me up, Miguel. I can definitely I can be your source for US only releases of Battletech stuff.
You're gonna jump through all those hoops to get 2 mechs? Come on.
Right. But it's the completionist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Miguel said, the Mantix 3D offerings might be interesting. Yeah, the Armada is an interesting game. They took, I think it's a Warlord. It's a system from Warlord games for their ship battles, and then they just themed it with their fantasy setting, and added additional rules and magic users on the boats and stuff. But the fact that they're going to release those ships, I bought the what they called their taster set for that game. So it was the rule book and maps and tokens and things, and also 2 of the resin ships. And the models are really nice. The models themselves are great. So if we can get those as STLs, it'll be really fun because you can, it's called Armada, so it scales up really big. You basically build point cost fleets, and that should be a really fun thing to be able to do on the cheap. Yeah, that would be a nice.
Check out what I bought.
Oh,
can you see this?
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yeah.
So I bought them on that with a Noble Knight. So they're printed on that whatever that compound wood stuff is.
The MDF, yeah.
MDF, thank you. And so they're already colored and everything.
Nice.
So this is like a little compound. You can take the roof off. So
nice.
Stargaze, obviously.
Right.
And these are like fences to put around it and stuff.
Very cool.
They were cheap.
Oh, nice. Yeah, excellent. There's nothing better than the cheap terrain. Yeah, I'm really I'm debating whether or not to go in on terrain because I backed the Gangs of Rome, the new version of that. And they have really cool scenery for it. And it's the MDF. It's like MDF stuff you build. But I think it's unpainted. I think it's just basically laser cut MDF. So there's a lot of painting and assembly involved. But it's really cool because it's all Roman streets under construction and stuff. So there's scaffolding. And the game uses a lot of elevation and a lot of climbing rules. So it'd be great to have terrain to crawl around on for Gangs of Rome.
Yeah. That's the one that they're still using metal miniatures, right?
Yes. Yeah, all their stuff. But the cool thing with this Kickstarter is they're supported the War Games Atlantic did a box set, a plastic box set for them. So that's going to be a box of 30 miniatures that can either be mob or kind of fighters for your gang that are completely customizable, very similar to what the North Star Miniatures does. So I got a huge amount of plastic, and plus the miniatures that were included in the kind of the basic pledge for Gangs of Rome. So yeah, it should be pretty cool and pretty flexible. That might be a nice intermediate kind of skirmish game for us to try one-offs of between Oathmark and Stargrave and all that all the stuff that we're working towards. But yeah, they have the MDF terrain, and it looks really good. So I'm super tempted. But they already warned with the Kickstarter. They already warned you that it's heavy, so it's flat packed, pretty heavy stuff. So it's the shipping is gonna go way up, supporting that. So we'll see. But yeah, so the Warzone Eternals, it's pretty tempting. There's some good stuff. I don't know. Miguel and I will have to discuss if we want to split the Christmas morning pledge or not, because I think that gives you 2 rule books. They're a little bit weird. They don't have many pledges. You can add a rule book, but they don't have many pledges that give you 2 rule books. So they scale things up to like everything that they're gonna do for their starter sets, like all the starter sets and 1 rule book. So it's a little weird. Yeah, it's like, okay, I'll just have all the armies and not play with anybody. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah,
but you'll have it all.
Yeah, but you'll have it all. I'm glad they're finally doing a physical rule book though, like a significant rule book for that game. I thought that was really weird on the first campaign that they're like, it's no rule book. It's just this little, tiny paper, just folded, stapled rule book. Very odd, because they commissioned a bunch of artwork, so that's for the rule book and for their packaging, and to not do an actual rule book was a little strange.
Well, if you're ever really hard up and you want to try it on Tabletop Simulator, I'll play with you.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, let me get you above the chat. I thought you were.
That's okay.
Okay. You're getting buried. Oh, there we go.
Gil's writing paragraphs over there.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh, move you over here. So it kind of works. Oh no. Shrinking. Look at this. On the fly. Now I got to make sure I'm over here. But let's take a look. Anything else? Yeah. So good to see Abyss in the chat. Yeah. Wargaming is, insanely overpriced. So anything that can, kind of cushion that blow. Oh, wow. So 3D printed Mordheim, buildings for Mordheim is about $80 to $120, and a single warband of 8 minis be spending $60 to $150 depending on the metal or 3D printed. Yeah, right.
And when we played Mordheim, we used the cardstock buildings that they had
used
to make.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't mess around. We were just too expensive.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, people are doing some really cool terrain that would be perfect for Mordheim. But yeah, it's expensive to get that printed. Nice. Chinese Legos are not counterfeit. They are white brand, a white brand Lego. Nice. Yeah, Kill Team. Yeah, Kill Team's expensive too. It seems like Games Workshop with the last updates from their Warhammer Fest, they're going to ruin Kill Team too. They're going to make Kill Team like they're doing with Necromunda, and just making you buy too many books and have seasons. Like they're going to have these like fake narrative seasons that kind of continue, and you have to keep up with it if you want to be playing with the latest rule sets. It's so stupid. I can't believe they're going to ruin that game. Well, they did, I think, just trying to do a second edition.
Those are all like Magic the Gathering level hustles.
Yeah.
That's why I don't really play any Games Workshop stuff.
Yeah, it really is. They're getting really bad with that. Abyss says only $285. That's chump change for Kickstarters at this point. Yeah, that's true. What they expect you to pledge, all in pledges and stuff, when they have those like shameless, like it's only $575 for the all in pledge.
That's what I'm saying. Like with the Knave Kickstarter, it's like it's like $30 for the hardback, the basic hardback,
right?
And people are pissed off about $30 in shipping, and I'm like, this is nothing on Kickstarter. Like this is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. I wonder if he's bringing a lot of people over from kind of the indie RPG scene that are used to like people saying, "Oh, you can have my zine, my RPG zine for $5, and I'll pay the shipping because I really want you to have it." It's like I don't know. That's got to be the danger. Like this may be an interesting time for that game designer, because now he's stepping into some pretty big money for being an independent game designer, and if he doesn't like fold this into like starting a company or something, then people are going to have like weird expectations of what he owes them or what he's supposed to do because he's indie. He's not, I don't know.
But like, it's not like he doesn't give them options, because the original Knave you can get on drive-through for like, I think it's $4 or something.
Oh wow.
The other game he did, Maze Rats, is like $2.
Right.
So, and he put out a little preview PDF on drive through, no charge. It's incomplete, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
enough to let you know where this differs from his original Knave.
Oh wow.
You can get that free
Mm-hmm.
on drive through.
Wow.
So like, people need to calm down. Like,
Yeah. But with a low, with such a low price point too, if he's only selling $30 books, if it's, or maybe like the deluxe is like $60 or whatever, still that's a lot of backers. Like it must be like, to get almost half a million.
It's a ton. I'll look it up for you right now. It's a ton of backers.
Yeah. So
I think he's got huge indie American support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more, no offense, Abyss, but it's the Europeans that are being bitchy about it.
Well, they're the ones that are hit by all the VAT and all the shitty, extra stuff that they got to pay for, and also the currency conversion and stuff.
So it's at 477,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about to hit $500,000. He has 7,800 backers.
Wow. Yeah.
With 20 days to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Knave is going to be a more successful campaign than Warzone Eternal, and Warzone Eternal has to,
that's what I'm saying.
print hundreds of miniatures. Holy shit! And pay so many artists, like the sculptors and artists and everything involved in that project.
The turnaround will be quicker.
Yeah. Oh, that's insane.
The fulfillment will probably have less hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's winning in every way except offending some European folks.
Right. Yeah, and maybe it's just, once things get to that level, people start to, disassociate. I'm supporting a designer directly that I like, that it's more about, oh, now you're a company and I hate companies because they always screw me over. So you're trying to screw me over, aren't you, with this shipping?
If I had one issue, is he's literally only given 2 updates.
Oh, yeah.
And I kind of feel like your original goal is 10 grand. You're almost at $500,000. Maybe you should be talking to us a little more.
Where's that money gonna go? Yeah.
That's my only complaint.
Well, maybe he's funding an expedition to mine the gold for the gold foil for the deluxe edition. So it's going to cost, that's where all that money's going to go. Right. Yeah. No, that's really true though. It does, because that's why they have stretch goals and things. It's like, this is how we're growing. This is how this is getting bigger. If he doesn't have a lot of that built into the campaign and isn't updating people, it's like, so, what does this mean? This is life-changing money. Like this, if you subtract it, subtract the cost of what it's going to cost you to produce these books, this is a lot of extra money. And what does this mean for for the future?
I mean, theoretically, his logistical costs are going to go up,
mm-hmm.
but his printing costs are going to go way down.
Yes, yeah. Once he's doing 10,000
mass production numbers, yeah. It'd be interesting to see because he is an OSR guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of in that realm, that kind of indie OSR realm. It's going to be interesting what he does. Like, if this all goes off without a hitch, what's he do next? Like, how do you stay in the indie OSR zone
with
making $500,000?
Right. Yeah. And I think that maybe that's part of the problem too, is people don't like the idea of this high postage because you're making so much money. So just, you pay the postage then. So you're so successful that you owe us the postage. And I think that's an aesthetic, unless you're a sellout. Are you a sellout? You're going to keep all that money? So, you need to, that's a difficult thing.
I think that's hard. Like, I mean, he has a YouTube channel,
mm-hmm.
but it's not like, Critical Role kind of YouTube channel.
Right.
I mean, it's well known, I guess, in the OSR community, but not really beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So, the guy's just trying to make a living.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Just trying to do it full time. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Where were we? Sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, so Miguel was saying the theme for the Battletech Essentials box is very dear to some old timers. Oh, interesting. Yeah. So maybe that was an early scenario or early setting. The Solaris 7 kind of TV TV battle. Nice.
I didn't read the novels.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I played in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. So I think I might have missed some of the stuff Miguel's into with that. He was saying that those two mechs are classic to the books.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, very iconic. Oh, nice. Yeah,
they don't.
Yeah.
I remember Mad Cats and Marauders and Battle Masters and Locusts, and half of them were art they took from the old Robotech series.
Right.
Right? Like
right.
the classic ones, a lot of them were like the civil defense mechs from Robotech. Or whatever Robotech was called in Japan, I always forget. But so like this newer stuff, I think I just wasn't playing during that time.
Yeah, they still make that's Macross in Japan. They still make a lot of really cool plastic model kits, like the big scale model kits of those old classic mechs from early Macross. Good stuff. Yeah, interesting. I think Catalyst is doing a great job of keeping Battletech alive and available in a lot of different places. That's pretty cool. Miguel saying, "Don't fall into the painting trap." Oh yeah, maybe that's what we're talking about. Yeah, the deciding how to paint mechs for Battletech.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's not just
pick House Karita because they're the best.
Nice. Yes, for game companies to try to control you like 40K. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, just trying to.
There's never anything like that in Battletech. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh wow, yeah, talking about some current Kickstarter stuff. It's expensive. Yeah, there's really, really expensive stuff.
$400 for Oathsworn.
Wow. Yeah, a lot of really pricey stuff. So this is saying, Hasbro really has little shame. I kind of like that. I like that about them. So like the new D&D movie, where just as the end credits started to roll, and the statement has that Hasbro made D&D. Yep, Hasbro's Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is ballsy for them to just be like. And I think it's probably that was probably the movie studio or whatever their media company said they wanted to keep that branding across all of their films, because aren't they doing like they're doing like Battleship and all of the board games. Like board games are getting movies now, and they want it all to be Hasbro's. They're trying to keep this branding consistent. So to Hasbro, Dungeons and Dragons is just another board game they produce. It's just another property that they could put on the shelf right next to whatever Parcheesi or whatever else they own.
It's interesting that, because it's pretty clear to me that the writer director team actually either were fans of D&D or did their research, because they did do a lot of references that were on brand for D&D.
Right.
So it's interesting to me that then in the credits they totally dropped the ball with like no Gygax, no Arneson.
Yeah.
It's set in the Forgotten Realms, and it doesn't have what's his name's name, the guy that invented Forgotten. Is that Ed Greenwood?
Yeah, Greenwood. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so none of them.
Yeah,
that's the credit.
That's true. Yeah, I wonder if that was legal stuff too, because they didn't want to. I'm sure there's still a lot of legal wrangling on who is owed royalties for certain things. So maybe they're Hasbro legal just said, let's just not open this can of worms and put anybody's name on there that their estate can come after us and say, give us a piece of this, because they were expecting huge success with that movie, and they didn't break even. So yeah.
I read a thing that they're like the top streamer movie right now. So
Oh, really?
They'll probably do okay.
Yeah.
In the
Ultimately.
end, you
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah, and I wonder if they're just if they'll realize, well, maybe the next one should just go straight to streaming. We should just do an exclusive deal with somebody and have like Netflix fund it or whatever.
Throw it on Disney, because it'll be, even if it's bad, it'll be better than Willow.
That's right. My hope someday is that that stuff just disappears, because it was like, done only streaming, and people are not going to even know there was a Willow TV show. Like, it'll just be this lost media that Disney Plus will just delete, and we'll never even have to think about it again.
You could be like Grandpa, let me show you this movie called Willow. Oh, that was good, Grandpa. Anything else? No, nothing else.
Nothing.
There was never made again.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure people have been saying that about those novels that they wrote. Chris Claremont, actually, I think it's like Chris Claremont and George Lucas are credited for
Really?
I think it's 3 books. I think it's like a trilogy of novels that are supposed to be a sequel to the Willow movie. And they're just insane. They're just insane nonsense. Yeah. They don't make any sense at all. And they have very little connection.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh, skipping ahead. Yes, Willow was bad, Abyss.
Yes. Spoilers. The Willow series was terrible. Yes, and Miguel saying, start a crowdfunding campaign, request extra funds before delivering, and then cancel the whole thing, claiming it was Putin's fault, and refuse to refund. Yeah, that's actually, if we wanted to build houses, I think we could probably, that's a pretty viable way to fund any real estate venture. You get one shot at it, but you can, if you do it well. That'll be I'm sure there's a script for a heist movie out there that's all based around crowdfunding.
How do you pronounce that bird race's name?
Oh,
the Arakakara.
Oh, I don't think I ever have. Yeah. I don't think anyone's played one.
No.
Yeah.
I've never played in a game that had one.
Yeah.
I'm just every time I see that word, I'm like, I wonder how they think you're supposed to say that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So, what else is going on? Oh, yeah. It is. Yeah, Abyss. That's very true. Yeah, the Fantasy Flight. It's very sad that that's the state of Fantasy Flight. The company that brought us Twilight Imperium. That's very true.
That's gonna kill me. I can't remember the name of that 40K game. It's a really good game.
Yeah. So they did. I'm trying to think, because I thought I knew most of the stuff. Maybe not the early stuff. Maybe not the earliest stuff. But they did. So they did the gods of gods of the old world or whatever. The one where you've got all the chaos gods fighting on the board.
Forbidden Stars.
Forbidden Stars. Oh, okay.
That's a really good game.
Is it? Oh, nice. Oh, that's right. That is.
I actually like it.
Very Twilight.
I like it more than Twilight Imperium because it's more immediately interactive and vying for control, whereas Twilight Imperium can be kind of a little. I'm going to go over here. Oh, you're going to go over there? 3 hours later,
Right. Oh, yeah. I recognize that. Yeah.
I'll sell it to you. $500.
Yeah, 500. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I think that's how it's probably going to be priced. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I got an old copy of the Horus Heresy for a pretty reasonable. Actually, delivered to Japan for a pretty reasonable price. But yeah, I don't think it's quite. I like that. I like that setting. I like the Siege of Terra setting and everything. So that's very cool. But yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I know they reskinned, like they Fantasy Flight kept releasing Dune, the Dune game again and again, and they just kept reskinning it. Like they did, I think they did it like a Twilight Imperium setting, and then they did a 40K, and it was basically just the Dune game.
Wasn't that originally what Twilight Imperium was? Dune? Isn't that how that worked?
Oh, maybe. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I think it was, and they lost it or couldn't use it or something.
Right. Yeah. So that's where all their original ideas was a failed Dune license. That's funny.
So many failed licenses.
So, talking Star Wars stuff. Ahsoka is opening summer 2023, and Disney is counting on it. Yeah, but it looks like Ahsoka is going to be with that Star Wars Rebels, the live action series, because it's going to have all those weird characters from that, kiddie Cartoon Network thing. Star Wars.
Yeah, it's going to have the crew, except for what's his name that died, and. It sounds like it's going to be centered around finding the kid, Ezra.
Oh, okay.
Like, because he, at the end of that show, he ended up going off into the, what are they called? The unknown reaches or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
With Thrawn.
Ah.
And so that's, Thrawn's going to be like their epic. He's going to be their big bad because they're going to try to Avengers it,
Right. I see. Yeah, that's right. And then he's going to show up in whatever they do for a Mandalorian movie. And, yeah. That's right. And the Acolyte, planned for next year. It will be a mess. Yeah, definitely. It's already, because everyone's already saying, Star Wars isn't about good and evil. All the actors from the Acolyte don't know what the hell what show they were in.
Yeah, because Acolyte is supposed to be like Sith trainees or something, but somehow they're going to turn it around. And I don't know.
Oh, wow. Weird. Oh, Miguel saying, did you see the Res Nova crew are kind of trying to stop antagonizing the supporters of the Wolfsbane being all male and Morning Wolves being all female? Is a sexist thing? Oh, well, that's good. That was... coming up in the comments is they're kind of playing with
the lore about that. What's that about?
Yeah, so it's specific units for factions that in early versions the depictions were only ever female or only ever male, and there are some of the units that it's specific to the lore that's why there were only women or only men, and I think people are getting worried because the miniatures that they're seeing when they do like a set of 5 of all one type of unit, they're mixed gender. They're always mixed gender. Yeah, but always the target games like Mutant Chronicles stuff did have pretty evenly, like the heroes and iconic characters and stuff. They were pretty evenly split between men and women, but not, there were certain soldier types or certain troop types that were, always one gender. But so there's a bit of an argument about that, and I think that's probably why they're not going to go very deep into unit choices and stuff for this first version. Is because they they don't want to step on anybody's lore toes. But it's good. Yeah, it's good that they're not. They got to make sure their comment section, because I think both their Facebook group and their comment section on the last Kickstarter got a little toxic, so they got to be careful. But that's funny. Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen when they finally start producing that game. Oh, that's right. Tainted Grail, which got like $5 million on GameFound, was one of the biggest offenders I've ever seen with their miniature scheme. Oh, the mail. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, tons of minis that they do not do the best to make clear what the minis, the minis are useless. Interesting. Oh, so now they're saying... Nice. So now the male Morning Wolves is something that a contractor said, and Res Nova has no intention to change anything. Oh, interesting. And the male-female thing was because of the double kits were the prior Kickstarter the contractors were working on. They didn't explain anything. Oh, so why didn't they explain that from the start? Oh, I see. So it was done that way because of the sculptors from the previous campaign. I can't believe Miguel hasn't seen the Willow streaming series. Yikes. Oh, that's
Disney,
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Disney's doing a Christmas special. Special? What?
Oh no. A Star Wars Christmas? No way. That's insane. Yeah, that'd be so funny if they did a. I really, people are so like, what the hell was that? The Star Wars Christmas special. But when you're looking at the new stuff that they're doing, like the characters in the Mandalorian and stuff, they're really close to the insane characters from the Star Wars Christmas special. It's just a bunch of cameos by like recognizable comedians and stuff, and the characters they're playing are not different from Harvey Korman or anybody that was in that special.
Oh, definitely that one specific episode of this season with Jack Black and Lizzo.
Yeah.
That was
very Star Wars Christmas special.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. It's very strange. But even from the prequel trilogy, in the prequels, George Lucas was like putting his kids in the movie and like in sync, and a bunch of like weird people that like showed up on the set like were in the movie. I guess because it was all like green screen stuff anyhow, so very easy to do. But I don't know why it's become a thing where everyone wants to cameo in Star Wars. It's very very weird.
Well, I mean, if I could be a stormtrooper, I'd probably do it.
Right.
But I wouldn't be like, if I was Lizzo, I wouldn't be, well, I don't know. If I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm Lizzo, put me in this show, and I will not make any attempt to not look or sound like Lizzo.
I will be Lizzo in Star Wars. Yeah. That's insane that they don't know what they're doing with Star Wars. I mean, it's so funny. I think somebody made a good point that Disney has that weird princess problem. There was a YouTuber that talked about the Disney's princess problem, and so they bought two boy properties, Marvel and Star Wars, and they're just trying to cram princesses into it, and it's just it's not working.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but Google. Oh shit! What's her name? Bo-Katan Sackhoff. What's her first name? Oh my god, I'm blanking right now.
Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah, the actress.
Yeah. Anyway, Google her name and 2% when you get off of this.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Trust me.
Oh no.
Yeah. Or you can do it right now. You just probably won't want to say it out loud.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. She they have their annual Star Wars Fest thing, whatever it's called, where they bring out the actors from the different movies and shows. There's a huge crowd and whatever. Katie Sackhoff.
Right, Katie. Yeah.
Someone asked her about why do people have strong opinions about Bo-Katan? And she was like, well, 60% of people, really love the Bo-Katan and her story and blah, blah, blah. And 38% just hate me. And then you're going to Google the other 2% because it's hilarious. It's funny.
Oh,
people are making patches, like Star Wars cosplayers are making 2% patches and putting them on their uniform.
No way. Oh, that's funny.
It's hilarious.
Great. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what they're thinking.
It was one of those gems, the 80s cocaine fantasy fuel. Yes, it was. Also introduced the what did they call that technology? They the morphine. Remember that? Like they.
Oh yeah.
It's like when the wizard lady was shape shifting. They were like, oh, we got this cool new special effect technology, and I think they called it morphine, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
And then it's like, literally like 5 years later, it was super outdated, and nobody was doing it anymore.
Right. Yeah, there was that showed up a lot in as a special effect. Oh, speaking of miniatures, the Gloomhaven Frosthaven miniatures campaign is next month. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's right. They're releasing their tabletop rules. Yeah, I really want to. I really want to see that. It's going to be way too many minis, though. Yeah, because there's a lot of monsters and stuff. Yeah, in a lot of enemies in Frostgrave, or I mean Frosthaven and Gloomhaven. So it's going to be a lot of miniatures, but it's just meant to replace all the standees, the cardboard standees. So it's crazy.
I guess the RPG is diceless too.
Right? Yeah, they're going to use the same card system with the bonuses and stuff. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it works pretty well. Like I haven't played with the physical cards, but I've done the PC game, and it uses the exact same mechanics, and it works. I like it. I like how it works. Like it's not predictable. How successful you're going to be is not completely predictable. So I like that. I think it works pretty well. But yeah, I don't know. I played a lot of Malifaux, which is a diceless skirmish game. So you're playing basically with a deck of cards, and you just do flips against each other, and that's your rolls for each other for attacks and things. But there's also ways you can mitigate. You can flip 2 cards, or you can do other things.
I really liked the aesthetic of Malifaux. Like, I kind of wish they had expanded that one. Like, that would have been a cool aesthetic for an RPG too.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they have an RPG for it. They have a tabletop.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. I forget what it's called now. It's I'm getting them all confused. They do have a tabletop for it, and it's interesting because it uses the deck of cards, so it doesn't use dice, and it has some funny rules about if you can get the GM to touch the deck or whatever at a certain time, it like has mechanical effects. Like there's fun. Wow. Yeah, there's funny things that they play with. It's a really playful kind of steampunky kind of playful setting, but a lot of demons and sorcery and stuff, and a lot of like horrible kind of nightmare creatures. But yeah, there's a tabletop, and there's also like a larger unit, larger base war game for it. The Through the Breach. Through the Breach is the name of the tabletop game. The Other Side. The Other Side.
Through the Breach.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, Through the Breach is their tabletop, and The Other Side is their larger scale, more strategic war game.
Because they had like the train that went through, right?
Yes, you're right. You could travel. Yeah. Yep. The Other Side.
I do remember that.
Yeah. They've released a bunch of stuff. I think the frustrating part is like most recently they did an update, like they did a new version to the rules, and they changed a lot of the narrative and the setting, and they changed how the factions work, so it kind of screwed up your miniature. And I think that even happened previously when they were only metal miniatures. They kind of screwed up things so that your existing gangs don't work with the new rules, and you have to kind of buy new stuff. And that was probably the intention, is they wanted you to buy buy new stuff that they're making, not just keep using your old miniatures. But it's a little frustrating when you have like a gang that and you like how they work, and then it's totally invalidated by the next version of the story and the next version of the rules.
That is like the eternal problem of miniature games. Until like 3D printing becomes like way more commonplace and easy to use, like until that happens, like these big miniature games are never going to get away from that problem. Yeah,
no, that's true. And when it's so apparent in the rules or in the lore that they're just trying to make you buy stuff, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I'm really surprised that like a company like Games Workshop hasn't gone all out and done like a kids TV show that's just like showing off their new models and their new miniatures as characters in a story, and they're just trying to like sell you stuff just like Saturday morning cartoons was. I can't believe they haven't moved completely to that model yet.
Yeah,
because it's what they're it's what the books are doing. It's what their the stuff they're publishing is doing. But they should just be direct about it and just say, we're just trying to sell plastic. Yeah, Abyss is saying, greed is holding 3D printing back. And I think a lack of a good standard. Like just there's too much you have to do. Like standard formats for how miniatures, the digital version of the miniatures and how they're processed and how each printer uses them and stuff. If they could standardize that a little bit more and not have to. The thing I'm not enjoying about 3D printing is you're relying on China a lot. Like these are all Chinese companies that are making most of the most successful or most visible models of 3D printers, and then you're having to do a lot of the parts replacements and stuff by dealing directly with Chinese factories or the Chinese producers. And the customer service is okay, but you just don't have any idea what exactly you're supporting and what you're getting into.
I'm surprised a big like a Philips or a Sony hasn't been like, let's do this 3D printing thing. Like.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Yeah, even in Japan, there hasn't been a. It's all small companies that work with Chinese manufacturers. So yeah, they're trying to keep the parts and everything low, and it's still there's a lot of assembly. Like there's a lot of building and kind of do-it-yourself stuff that you're doing with these kits. Even though they're getting more and more enclosed and more looking like appliances, like looking like a printer, but still there's a lot of messing about, and your sources are all Chinese manufacturers for the parts, and that's real hit and miss.
Yeah, I imagine the big like non-Chinese companies are probably a little bit of afraid of it. Like they don't want they want it to be foolproof, right? They want it like put in your cartridge, send your file, it prints.
Right.
They don't want any like, oh, we poisoned somebody's kids or
right.
It melted through their desk somehow. They don't want any of that shit going on. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, right now, they haven't the toxicity and kind of the process is not completely safe, and you have to do something to keep people away from it. The barrier to being able to drink the resin or put your finger on the hot end of the printer.
Yeah. Do you remember like there was a moment in the early 90s where printer companies were trying the wax printing?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Actual like wax that got melted and then printed.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to get to that level where you can put in this wax cartridge and then just go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wonder what. There's a lot of stuff, and it is probably just companies that don't want to collaborate. They don't want to share, kind of any of their innovation, because then they could come up with a standard for it. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Well, very cool. Well, thanks, Matt, for hanging out for so long. I know it's getting late on your end, so I won't.
Yeah, kind of my bedtime.
I won't keep you up too late. But thanks so much for helping me out this week.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Chris had unavoidable distraction with physically moving. That's no fun. It's pretty good though. The moving companies in Japan are pretty awesome. They you have everything so standardized. Like their truck is exactly a certain number of boxes wide and tall, and they make you put everything in the standard size boxes. So it goes pretty smoothly as far as the logistics of it.
No U-Haul action in Japan.
I've never seen it. Yeah, maybe you can, but I've never seen. That's how I've always moved, is the nightmare of driving some, possibly breaking down rental truck across the country.
I've always moved that way.
Mm-hmm.
And like last time I had to move, my brother owed me because I'd helped him move.
Oh yeah.
And he so didn't want to do it that he paid for movers to move me. And I was like, what is going on? We have this thing over here. I don't know if you've heard of this because you've been in Japan for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
but they have this like they call them like meathead movers.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard of that?
No.
It's basically like college jocks, like football guys. To make a little extra money, they move people.
Ah.
So like it's a franchise company that has a trucks, and then they hire these athletes from colleges to be the movers.
Right. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. So the cheerleaders do the bikini car washes, and the football players do the moving.
Yeah, I'm getting cheerleaders. We just got the meatheads.
Nice. Well, cool. All right. Well, yeah. So I'll be seeing you soon, Matt, for some more Wesen. We've got some mystery, more mystery to solve.
9 hours, right?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. It's not.
Oh, no. Wait, no.
Yeah,
that's wrong. 21 hours.
21 hours. Yeah, yeah. Almost a day.
Something like that.
All right. So I will see you. Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much, and we will be back at this soon. So yeah, next week, hopefully same kind of schedule, unless things have changed work-wise for Chris. But we'll be back at this. Thank you so much for joining us, and if you're listening to this on the Patreon RSS feed, thank you so much for supporting us. And hopefully it sounds a little bit better than last week, because I'll run some filtering on it and get out any noise that we're putting in there. So yeah, everybody take care. And oh hey, Agent Carolina, how's it going?
Slipped in late, Agent Carolina.
Nice. But yeah, hopefully you've been lurking for a bit. So yeah, we'll be back next week. Thanks so much for joining us. See you then.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.